massage video with Veleda. All natural from plants. Smells real good. I also want you to check out Olivia Kisper and her amazing videos. She has 2 channels on YouTube. One is called Live Unbound and the other one is called Olivia Kisper ASMR. And her videos are stellar. They are the best. They are so amazing. She has one video with a Tibetan singing bowl healer guy who did the sound healing session with her, and that video is the ultimate. It really is the ultimate, and I'm gonna watch that again today. Papa and I, we just felt so good watching and listening to her healing session video. It was so incredible and so relaxing, and it felt so good. There was an energy. There's an energy in these sounds that even the crickets and the cicadas. She lives in Costa Rica. All these crickets and cicadas, they were responding to these sounds from the Tibetan singing bowls. It is absolutely amazing. They were both very amazed also about that, how those insects were reacting to those vibrations. Amazing, amazing, amazing. It feels really, really good, particularly on the thighs, the thigh massage, because often our thighs, our muscles are a little bit tense. Has to do with fear. It has to do with kind of like bottled up trauma from the past. We want to loosen all of this up gradually, not keep it bottled in. And I see that when people are religious, they keep these things bottled in. See this when I talk to them on the internet. It's very sad to see how these people are living in fear, of gods that were invented by men, and then they all project their dads into those gods. They're angry and wrathful dads. It's all projected into that. And it's just an idea. They're afraid of an ideology. It is a mental prison. And Olivia talks about how we create our own lives. She's always talked about, then she has this amazing video in which she reports of her experience with a tree substance, a tree bark from Africa. She did a session with that. And it is a teacher plant. And I personally, just, as a disclaimer here, I personally am completely against experimenting with psychoactive ingredients in general. Okay? This is just my personal view on it, because I have seen how it has completely disabled people from functioning. So there could be a different reasoning involved. The cause and the effect can be questioned. You can question the whole thing and say, maybe, what they saw and realized makes them now makes them reject the human ideological and perceived reality that we live in, the limited reality that people usually perceive, in general. And therefore, they no longer need it. But the problem is, and I agree, but the problem still remains that if you tune yourself out of this reality with whatever substance, with whatever realization or enlightenment or or whatever nervous breakdown or complete mind shift people have gone through, the problem still remains. Someone who is no longer tuned into the 3D realm with all of its gravity and heaviness, how are they going to navigate themselves through this world? See, that is precisely why we human apes, or any ape or any animal, has a neurological system. And this is very, very, very fascinating. I've also mentioned this before. We have a neurological system, we have a brain that does not allow us to tap into the other dimensions for a reason. Because if we did, we could not even drive a vehicle. Maybe in the future when we have self-driving cars, and when everything is done by robots, and we can just be pets, okay, maybe then we can enjoy our mental, how do I call this? The the opening of the mental doors to the other realms without falling, without tripping literally, without tripping over our own feet and over each other. Because the 3D realm is still there. Maybe some people will argue about this and say this is just a projection of our own brains. Whatever we experience, we have created. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. If I pull the wool over my eyes, literally, the stuff around me is still there. Okay? This camera is still there. It's still filming, even if I put the hand over my eyes and say, I cannot see the camera. The camera is still there, and it's still functioning, and it's still filming, and my legs are still there, and my Birkenstock, my Croc shoes are still there, and my fuzzy socks, and the ground I sit on is still there. Okay. So a lot of people who have experimented cannot function anymore in the 3D. Then they're being taken care of by the government. And the collective of us, with our constant perpetuated paying into the funds, with the tax charges, okay, we have to take care of. We have to take care of all of those people who can no longer take care of themselves. That's another reason why, for example, I'm against all taxes except sales tax. Because a tax has to be there because we have to create a network of protection for the other living beings, animals and people. We have to do it. Not everyone's brain is functioning like the brain of Jeff Bezos. So obviously, we have to look after each other. Very important. Not in a, it doesn't have to be communism, but in a capitalistic social network system. Not even going to call it socialism. That word has also been very stigmatized. But in a reasonable, commonsensical, which is very rare, and it's not common, in a rational, sensical way, we have to look after those who cannot look after themselves. But that's why I'm saying, don't put yourself into the situation where the government has to look after you and give you money and health care and provide for your life. It feels, let me guarantee this to you, and I see it all the time, it feels a whole lot better and healthier and more empowering if you are part of making the world great. Not just the United States, okay, but the whole world. Let's make the whole world great again, is my motto. The whole world. Let's make it great again, like it was when, I don't know how they were called, Ardipithecus afarensis lived on Earth. So that was, I don't know, 30 million years ago. So let's make it great again, and we can do it. You know, the Artie and Lucy, and Eta, they didn't leave a carbon footprint behind. Maybe a fossilized footprint. And the footprints, they look more like this here instead of this. Yeah, feet looked like hands. That's what it was. They had 4 hands, basically, because they were arboreal. They were tree climbing animals. Yeah, and things were good. No global warming. Okay. There were some climate shifts sometimes, but not caused by an animal. It's bad when a species causes their own demise. That's really, really bad. So that's why I'm saying, you know, we need to stay reasonable and rational. And we can't do this if we tweak around on our own brains. Cannot do this. We want to enhance our brains. I'm not a fan of cyborgism. I'm not a fan of installing something into the brain or the body. That's not, or pacemakers or whatever. I'm not a fan of this. So that's not natural. But we can enhance our brains through meditation and learning and reading and talking about the right things, about mind expanding things. Okay? That will bring us forward as a collective. Nature, being in nature, it is infinitely powerful. Feeling the earth underneath your legs and feet, standing on the earth, on the grass with your bare feet. It's an amazing experience. Giving yourselves love like this, very important. And if you can find some kind person whom you trust, exchange foot massages. I've done that a lot in the past. At the universities, at the center, Arthur Janov. What feels the best is a non-sexual friendship. They call it the platonic friendship. I'm not so much into Play-Doh. I'm into Play-Doh, but not Plato, if that makes any sense. So, but I'm very much into non-sexual friendships and having these amazing friendships to give each other non-sexual touch. That's very, very, very vital, because if you go to a massage therapist, if you're a woman, you go to a male massage therapist, which I have tried and will never do again, because the energy that is generated during such a session is the energy, it's almost, there's a coldness in it. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, if you know what I'm talking about. When the guy starts to get aroused, there's a coldness that comes from him, an emotional coldness that comes from him, because of the objectification. And even, the massage therapist hasn't done anything particularly bad. He went up my leg a little bit too far, yeah, in my view. I didn't say anything. He didn't go too he didn't touch me there, but he went pretty far up, which was, I was not in that, I wasn't like interested in that kind of stuff, in that moment. I just wanted to relax. I needed it desperately. I was in a bad mental state. And when that, see, that opens up another whole can of worms, that subject. When that happens, when this friendship or trust or consultation situation, when that gets breached, and I understand, I see it from both sides of the situation. I can put myself into his shoes to a certain degree and say, yes, I understand. That is his biology. Obviously, they can't help it. It happens. And, oh, by the way, it happened to me twice. Thought about this last night. It happened to me twice. Like, it happened to me when I was 16, just like that lady, that Christine. And it happened to me also when I was 17 as well. This is a very typical age that those kind of things happen. And because boys around 16 and 17 are extremely rambunctious with this, just like, puppy dogs who get into puberty. The same thing. It gets out of control. And then the neocortex hasn't completely, it hasn't completed its adult state yet. So that's why teenage boys in particular are so completely out of control. We need to understand the biology behind all of this. I'm sure that guy has more control over his faculties today. I'm sure of this, but, well, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know him, but I don't know if one can judge over the person fully according to such a teenage rambunctiousness. But I tell you what we can judge him by. That I know for sure. We can judge him if he caters to the oil industry. So that definitely, that is a no on Kavanaugh. Someone who caters to the oil industry is simply a red bar across. It's a No. Okay, so someone who allows trophy hunting or hunting in general, it's a no. Okay, that's how you judge someone's compassion, ability, or inability. Whether the person caters to the corporations or to religion or to he's obviously against abortion, right there it's a no. Mhm. It's probably a whole host of things. Do you want that person to be the Supreme Court judge? Because that person is gonna get people to come to him and let him make decisions. So not good. So that's why I'm saying, my goodness, there's no choice at all. Al Gore need to become the Supreme Court judge. Okay. This is the clear thing that we don't even need to. There's not even an option or anything like, should we take this or no. It's Al Gore. Al Gore needs to become the Supreme Court judge, because Al Gore has compassion and kindness and ethics. Yeah, but I doubt that the corporate agenda will give room for such development. And that's why I cry every day. That's a problem. But yeah, for girls and for women, who also want to be touched and loved in a non-sexual way. And that is the majority of the time, that we want to be touched and loved in a non-sexual way, where we feel really safe and not used and not looked at as merchandise, as an object, as a means for something, so, to feel safe. So for us, it feels really, really, really bad to be in a situation where we cannot really fully relax and lean back. We have to worry that that guy might touch us inappropriately or rape us or whatever. I can also tell by the way they're breathing, for example. Yes, this might all be okay in a relationship, and when the time is right for it, but not when I go to a massage therapist. And I heard women tell stories where they go to some kind of like a yogi type of massage, and the guy would be nude with the heart on and all of this, and the guy would sell it to you as something like, this is what we do, you have a problem with that? And then making the woman into this unopen-minded type of see, this is another way of tweaking these things, of twisting the situation around and using mind manipulation by using someone's fear of being labeled unopen-minded. So And I would say to him, yes, indeed, yes, 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 I want you to put your clothes back on. That's what I would say. You either put your clothes back on or I'm gonna walk out of that door. Okay? And then he'll say, you are, well, you, what are you? You are, this is what I have been accused of. You are religious? You are, no, I'm not. You're a Christian? No, I'm not. You are unopen minded? No, certainly not. I just wanted to get a massage. That's all I wanted. I have had the most typical conversations already with men in those type of regards, like where they were so into themselves, and because of that completely lost touch with courtesy and respect for another. It's amazing. Yeah, happened to me twice. The first time I was 16, we were on a trip with the school class, and I was with friends in one of those back rooms. That was their room. And suddenly these two guys, they go to the door and lock the door. I don't know why the doors had keys even. I shouldn't have had keys. So the one guy locks the door and the other guy starts to kind of like throw me onto the bed, and I started screaming from the top of my head. So they got scared. We were all 16, so they opened the door again, and I ran out. And then one time I was 17, and I was 17 or 18, something like this. And two 15-year-olds came over that had been friends with, two 15-year-old boys. And they started to do the same thing in my own room. One guy locked my room door, and the other one threw me on the bed. And I screamed again from the top of my until they opened the door again, let me go. Oh man, incredible. What are they thinking? They think that through force, they think that a girl will be okay with that if they use force. When you use force on anything, it's not okay. In any situation, whether it is force of forcefully forcing oneself to get this exam, or get a certain friend, or get this gallerist, or get this or this or that, or the house or the car or whatever. When you clinging to something with force like this, want something with force, it doesn't work. You have to completely let go of it. That seems to be very difficult for most of us. But when it comes to sexuality, my goodness, I mean, there needs to be a lot more education on this. Men need to be educated on female bodies and sexuality. Very, very important. We are not like you guys. We are not like that. We are not that sexual. We are not that oversexed. We are not constantly thinking about it. We are not constantly looking for that. That part really is speaking for my own life. That has a marginal percentage in my life, at least, and always had. If I dated Alex Jones, maybe it would be on my mind every day. But in this celibate situation that I'm in right now for the last 8 years, I don't know, it has pretty much gone onto the back burner. So I don't even really know what it feels like, to tell you the truth, to actually be in a relationship like it has always been portrayed in movies by Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor, she had these amazing love affairs, and where everything fit together, where it was this harmonious whole, a wholesome, holistic sex. So I never had that. Never. I can't put these two things together. And that's because I have been traumatized as a child in this way. I know so for sure. I've all the evidence, I have dreams, I have all the paintings that I made as a child that reveal this, that my grandfather had something to do with this bathroom scenes and so on. So I have been traumatized very early, very, very early in my life. I've every clue and indication for that. But yeah, it's not gonna help anyone if I dwell on it. My grandfather is long gone. And it wouldn't help him or me or anyone if I confronted him about it. Would not help. It doesn't help. What helps is if I become clear about it myself. Okay? If I start to heal these wounds, if I love myself, we all, almost all of us, have been sexually traumatized. And I believe that, if we hadn't, women would be more relaxed with a partner, and it would be more harmonious and holistic in general for all of us. But it isn't. For most of us, it isn't. I'm just one example. Yeah. So most people don't even really want to talk about it, actually. So my generation, we talk about it more freely. We're the so-called psychoanalytical generation, and the young people, the 20-year-olds today, they talk more freely about it, and it has become something that is not a taboo anymore, and that's good. Not in all societies, of course, but in the Western world. But it still has not been come all the way to the outside. It hasn't come all the way into the open, and it needs to. It needs to come to the open. We need to talk more about these things, and we need to encourage each other, and we need to say it is safe, it is not shameful. Okay, humanity has shamed each other. They even shamed each other for having sexual reproductive organs. This whole thing has been tainted into a traumatic shame color, or I'm not color, but shame. It's a shame energy that has attached itself to this, and I felt it my whole life, and I knew my whole life, analytically thinking that I am, always knew there is something badly wrong with that. It should not be like this. I always knew it instinctively. It should not be like this. I should not be feeling ashamed about my boobs and my body in general. And there's so much constant perpetuation of that shame, and with jealousies, and with people that are jealous, they will perpetuate the shame even more, and fat shaming, and fat shaming is also sexual. It's also sexuality shaming, because because chubbiness is sexual. When you can allow yourself to be chubby, I'm not talking about morbidly obese. I'm talking about you allow yourself, your body to be chubby the way it wants to. The natural, in its natural abundance. Okay? That is looked on by society with a frown. It is being shamed by the fashion designers. They have corpses in their cellars, literally. Calvin Klein. I don't know how much Calvin Klein is aware of this. He might not be aware. It might be he might be totally unaware, unconscious about all of this. He probably is. And so, in that sense, I'm not saying, hey, you criminal. I'm not gonna condemn you or anything. But you have done damage. You should become aware about this. You've done damage to the teenage girls with your fashion and with your glorification of anorexia, making that into something respectable. There again, that's what Friedrich Nietzsche was already talking about during his lifetime. In the 1800s, he was already talking about this. He said how people, they glorify death almost. That they glorify stagnation and anorexia already. Like, he meant it more in the way of mental anorexia, but it also went in that direction of prudity and all of this, like people that they cannot celebrate their bodies and their cells. And I celebrate my body. That's why my skin is amazing. My skin it feels like rubber, like silicone, because I'm very good to myself, and I want other people to do the same thing to their own bodies. Be good to your bodies. Don't put alcohol into your precious bodies. Don't put drugs into it. Don't put toxic creams on your bodies. Don't deny your skin color. If you have darker skin color, celebrate it. It's beautiful, okay? I celebrate my skin the way it is. It's white, so I celebrate it. Okay? Not because someone else tells me this is better than this or this is better than that. No, I totally disregard what society says. I celebrate my body the way it is. And I want you to do the same. And my black girlfriend in Germany, we gave each other massages, and I adored her. I adored her body and her skin color in a non-sexual way, and the battery needs to be recharged. So you guys take care. Bye bye.